Hello, welcome to Books Cause Insomnia. My name's Michelle, and I'm here today to do a fun video that I've seen some other people doing around YouTube here and there. I'm going to react to 1-star ratings of my favorite books. The criteria for me is it would have to be a 5-star book for me, something I really love that I plan on rereading, something I cherish and I want to keep forever. The first book that I'm going to talk about is The Winter Sister, which I have right here. I don't want to move that stuff out of the way, but that's where it's sitting here on my shelf. This book is about a woman named Sylvie who has to go back home. Her mom is really sick and it looks like she's going to pass away soon. And she has to face the truth about the past and about her sister's disappearance. And did her sister disappear? Right? Oh no. And her sister's murder. It's so good on so many different levels. And I was shocked to see that the rating on here was a 3.66. I'm on Goodreads. I thought it should be much closer to a 4, but it's only 3.66. So somebody had to have given it 1 star. I don't know how. How do you give it 1 star? Wow. Recommends it for absolutely no one. Not even people I hate. It's been shelved on the burn it and send it to hell shelf. It was laughably, horrifically bad, and the narrator for the audiobook was a perfect fit because she was terrible in such a choice way. Okay, well, I didn't listen to the audiobook, so this reviewer says that the main character reminded her of Bella from the Twilight series. Did you read the book? I mean, what are you talking about? It's crushing, though. It's crushing to see a book that I love so much have such a low rating. But, you know, I had to search for quite a while to find 1 star. Maybe they were just having a bad day, or maybe they aren't real into books or something. I'm not sure. The next book that I love, that I gave 5 stars to, is The Marriage Pact by Michele Richmond. This one, there's a newlywed couple, Alice and Jake. Basically, they get a gift from one of Alice's prominent clients that is an offer to join an exclusive and mysterious group known only as the Pact. And as they start to discover what this pact is, it really takes them down a interesting path. But I love books about marriage, and I love psychological thrillers about marriage, and this definitely did not disappoint. Okay, luckily I'm having a hard time finding a 1 star for this book as well. Now this book, I have read multiple Michele Richmond books, and so I might be a little more offended even on this one if somebody doesn't like her writing. I don't know what that is. Do you get attached to your favorite authors? I do. And speaking of Michele Richmond, I think she's got a new release coming up. This book was torture, and it made me cringe all the way through. It was physically painful to finish it. Sounds like a medical problem. Physically painful? Come on. I only finished it because I could not believe this was the story. I kept reading it, thinking at some point we'd learn that it was all some kind of a nightmare, and that the protagonist was in a mental institution. Okay. The reviewer also did not like the characters. I know we can't all agree, but I have to say, Michelle Richmond has really good characters who are complex and human and flawed. I'm not quite seeing. I guess these are books I gave 5 stars to. But this next book is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan. And this book was, I'm telling you what, it was good, in my opinion, apparently. But I think that's something that we all need to start accepting, not just in America, but maybe worldwide with what I see online. Maybe it's okay if we don't agree on everything. Like, I don't know why we have to force each other to agree with us on everything. But to get back to the point, Amanda and Clay head out to a remote corner of Long Island, expecting a vacation, a quiet reprieve from life in New York City, quality time with their teenage son and daughter, and a taste of the good life in the luxurious home they've rented for a week. But a late night knock on the door breaks the spell. Ruth and GH are an older black couple. It's their house, and they've arrived in a panic. They bring the news that a sudden blackout has swept the city. But in this rural area, with the TV and internet now down and no cell phone service, it's hard to know what to believe. I thought this book was super suspenseful, and it was just so thought-provoking. I had so many wonderful, mentally stimulating conversations with my husband while I was reading it and after, about what his thoughts are on different things, what my thoughts were. There's a lot of 1 stars in here, okay? People appear to love it or hate it, and there's no in between. I could see why people wouldn't love it, though. Now, for me, from the first chapter, I was hooked and I loved it, and I can't wait to read more from this author. But an interesting and provocative an interesting and provocative plot wasted over nonsensical, absurd writing. I could probably write a proper review, but I could also just copy paste Merriam-Webster's definition of pretentious and call it a day. Dang. Pretentious? Okay. I DNF'd at 4%. Well, good job giving it a chance. This writing is insufferable. It's not even pretentious in a good way. Okay, so some people really do find this person there's another person saying it, so. I could appreciate purple prose. It's just so bad. I couldn't even get through the first 10 pages because I kept rolling my eyes. At what? I started it 20 minutes ago, but it's either going to the trash, bonfire, or Goodwill. I'll eventually decide. It took 12 pages for me to decide to stop. That's my personal record. I really think the author needs to put down the thesaurus and use some short and simple prose to get to the point and avoid the eye roll that I swear I went to the back of my head with. So by pretentious, do people mean that he uses a lot of big words that they had to look up or something? Okay, so it's just too heady for some people, I guess. I could see that. I mean, you really had to have an open mind, and it's a certain kind of very eloquent writing that maybe a lot of people aren't accustomed to reading. I don't know how else to say that without sounding like a pretentious snob myself. Okay, then the next book is going to be Winter Counts by David Heska Wanbli Weiden. I loved this book. There's definitely people that don't agree with me, though. It's got a 3.88 here on Goodreads. My thing is, if something has 4 stars or above on Goodreads, that means most of the people that read it really loved it. But when it's under 4 stars, I kind of take that to mean there's a good chunk of people that didn't love it. Now, once again, I don't know how you wouldn't love this book, but a groundbreaking thriller about a vigilante on a Native American reservation who embarks on a dangerous mission to track down the source of a heroin influx. That's what it's about. And this book, this was one of those books I read very quickly, couldn't put it down. I actually had moments of absolute chills. I was so scared about something, and I don't normally scare that easily. You know, I've been around the block. I've read so many scary books and I've watched so many scary movies. It's hard to scare me now, but this one did. And I would love to know why anyone wouldn't love it. And it was such a beautiful description of the Native American experience. Like, beautiful and heart-wrenching and nauseating. Real. Okay, I'm looking for a 1 star. I'm seeing a couple 3 stars, but I want to find a 1 star for you. Okay, lots of spoiler alerts, so I wanted to scroll down a little further. However, in my opinion, the book was not well written and ultimately fell flat. The writing felt amateurish and way too much tell and not enough show. Right, because he was trying to explain. Okay. It's not like a video where let me show you this instead of telling you that I'm going to show you. In a book, trying to explain someone's life and where they're coming from, all you can do is tell them. What? All right. I don't know. I couldn't disagree with this person more. The relationships and the characters were one-dimensional. Totally disagree. I felt so attached to characters that's part of why I got so emotional about the book, and that's part of why I got so scared. And the relationships that were in the book, I thought were so genuine. I guess what I have to say is, if somebody gave this book 1 star, we don't have to all agree on everything, but you're wrong. You are incorrect. Okay, let's move on. It's like, I didn't write the book. Why am I taking this personally? You know, but here we are. The next one is The Finishing School by Joanna Goodman. In this suspenseful, provocative novel of friendship, secrets, and deceit, a successful writer returns to her elite Swiss boarding school to get to the bottom of a tragic accident that took place while she was a student 20 years earlier. No. Okay, well, I see where the person is coming from, but they're saying that the characters were so selfish. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about teenagers. And even as adults, I can think of quite a few people that I know that I think are completely bathing in selfishness. So I don't see that that's I mean, it's sad that there are so many selfish people in the world, but I wouldn't say that it's not realistic. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's some things that the person found inappropriate or creepy, which I can I can respect that. The inappropriate thing that they're talking about is that sometimes inappropriate things happen to teenagers, and they might walk away saying that they had a great night. But I think teenage girls especially get very confused, um, and don't know, sometimes know that things aren't okay or they aren't normal, or they're trying to convince themselves that everything was fine. So, but I get what she's saying. And then there's another thing that she found creepy, which honestly I did too, but I still loved the book so much that I didn't care. So this one, I'm just gonna, I get how some people really wouldn't like this book. And part of what I loved about it, I did go to boarding school for a little while in high school. This book happened to, I went to high school in the 90s. This book happened to take place at that same time at a boarding school. So I just kind of, there was a lot of references to the 90s, which I'm going to really love a book right away if you say that. But I could see how some people wouldn't love it. Beloved by Toni Morrison. I own all these books that I'm talking about, by the way, but this one I bought, gosh, it was on when Oprah still had a TV show, and it was in her book club. It had to have been in the 90s. Let's see. I've read it multiple times. 1987 was the copyright. I'm pretty sure it was in the 90s that I read it, though. It was, I want to say it was 96 or 97. Okay, this book is about Seath, born a slave and escaped to Ohio, but 18 years later, she is still not free. She has borne the unthinkable and not gone mad, yet she is still held captive by memories of Sweet Home, the beautiful farm where so many hideous things happened. Meanwhile, Seath's house has been troubled by the angry, destructive ghost of her baby, who died nameless and whose tombstone is engraved with a single word, beloved. Seath works at beating back the past, but it makes itself heard and felt incessantly in her memory and in the lives of those around her when a mysterious teenage girl arrives calling herself beloved. She's worried that her terrible secret will explode into the present. Okay, this book, though, it's heart-wrenching, it's beautiful, it's sad, it's amazing. Now, there's some really disturbing parts of the book, so I'm assuming some people just found it to be very triggering, maybe, but slavery wasn't a beautiful thing. If you're going to read a book about slavery, I'm assuming that you're trying to better understand what happened to slaves and what they went through and what the whole experience was. You might want to be prepared that you're going to read some disturbing things if you're going to read about slavery. I recommend this for no one. I hated the book. I like fantasy and magical realism. Well, why'd you read it then? Okay. I mean, it doesn't say that that's what it's about. I found it incomprehensible to the point of absurdity. Yes, I really hated it. Seriously, even thinking of the entire month I spent reading and analyzing this giant piece of trash gives me a headache. That's one thing that I very vividly remember about this book, is that a lot of people tried really hard to analyze it. I personally just read the book. That's what I do with any books that I read. I just sit down and I read them and I enjoy them. or I don't enjoy them. But while I'm reading them, my brain kind of analyzes, oh, this meant that and that meant that. But if that doesn't naturally come to me, I don't push it. And I feel like some people, when they read, it's like they're trying so hard, especially with a book like this. If you know that there's a bunch of messages and that it's hard to understand, a lot of people will go into it with a notebook in their hand saying, okay, I need to understand this, and I need to take notes, and I need to, like figure out all the rhetoric and like what it really meant. And to me, that should be something that kind of comes naturally. There's nothing wrong with going to a book club after reading a book and maybe not catching something that other people did. Maybe you caught things that they didn't, but I'm seeing this a lot in the comments. People just super like hardcore trying to analyze all of it. I recommend this book for people who are overeducated. Is that my problem? What? Overeducated? It's a book. So that's I'll put this away later. I don't want to. Okay, I think that's gonna sum it up for today. That was kind of disheartening. That's all I got for today. If you want me to do one of these videos about any book in particular that you can think of that you and I both liked, let me know down in the comment section, and I will consider doing that in the future. Please let me know what you thought of this kind of video. I've never done one of these responding to reviews videos before, so I'm curious what you even think of it. But thank you for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. I love you. Bye.